Okay, I've switched recording on now. I see that some of you have got your video on. That's really nice. Thank you very much. It's always good to see who's there. One of the things that I always wonder about when I'm a trainer is that I'm chatting away, and if everybody's got their video off, I don't know if I'm talking to myself. So it's always comforting to see people at the other end of the screen. The presentation itself is going to be just under the hour because we're allowing some time right at the end for questions and answers. Plus, I'm going to recommend some further places where you might be interested in doing a bit more research or a bit more information. Oh, we've just got somebody called David waiting to come in, so we'll just let them in. Oh, we've got more people coming in, lots of people just coming in at the last minute there. Okay. It's the joy of Zoom, isn't it? Hello, Rachel. Right. An introduction to me first. I'll keep it brief. This isn't a dating site. You don't need to know that much about me. My name is Jill Clarke. I started off as a harmless Cobol programmer many years ago. If you ask me on the chat line, I'll tell you when, but I'm not going to say it out loud anymore. It's just distressing. I still work as a developer, but I also work as a trainer. I work freelance. My company is Bear Computer Services Limited. My affiliations, I'm on the BCS Women Committee. I'm also an occasional volunteer at the National Museum of Computing, which is based at Bletchley Park, near where I live. If you have a look at their website, the Software Gallery is one of mine, which I developed with Bob Jones. I've also written a book for BCS, a career guide to the role of software developer. I'm a fellow of the Learning and Performance Institute, which used to be the Institute of IT Trainers. It was really good when it was the Institute of IT Trainers because I used to be able to put FIT after my name, which I really liked, but they've changed it now. Never mind. And if you want to see any of my training work, then I generally work for a company in London called JBI Training, through which I work for many large and varied companies. Again, I'll talk to you offline about it if you're that interested. Enough about me. For the presentation, it's in 3 parts. First of all, a very brief introduction, setting the webinar itself in context, what we're doing and why we're doing it. Then I'm going to take you through the interactive capabilities. I'll show you how to set them up, and I'll also let you try them out so that you can see what the end user would see. It's worth pointing out that as the host, I have a paid subscription. So some of the interactive capabilities will be for paid subscriptions only. Paid subscription, in case you're interested, the cheapest one that you'll get is about £130 for a year. Okay, when we're looking at an interactive capability that is subscription only, then I'll let you know. Otherwise, please assume that it's available for the free. It's only the host that needs the paid version. The attendees can have the free version. That's perfectly fine. And we're going to look through those. And then at the end, as I say, we'll do a questions and answers. So first of all, the introduction then. What I'm hoping this is going to help you with is not so much webinars, because webinars tend to be a lot of talking. This one is a different sort of webinar because I'm going to let you interact so that you can see how it works. But a majority of webinars tend to be mostly lecture-based. What I'm hoping it will help you with is certainly with training, if you're doing online training, and also possibly with meetings, because some of the ideas might help you out with interacting a little bit more on meetings or being able to capture what it is you're talking about or discussing in your meeting. So that's the area that I'm hoping it's going to help you with. Where I'm coming from is the fact that I've done a lot of classroom-based training for many years. whilst I've done some e-learning and developed some e-learning, a majority of the stuff that I teach is classroom based. The reason for that is that I'm a technical trainer, and a lot of the stuff that I do is teaching people to code. Consequently, it's a lot easier for me to sit with people and help them out going through the code. So when I had to start giving my classroom-based training over Zoom, what I had to think about was, how can I emulate some of the things that I do in the classroom? For instance, with the face-to-face scenario in a classroom, I can very easily tell by someone's body language how they're feeling about this. So I can tell whether they're engaged and whether they're getting it, or whether they're just a little bit lost. So there's lots of things that you can tell by people's body language. And as I said earlier, I can't see you all, so I don't know what you're doing. I don't even know if some of you are there. It could just be that you've logged in and wandered off somewhere. I don't know. So we had to think of some things that we could do that would get people to interact, so I'd know that they were getting what I was trying to present, and also to know that they were engaged with what I was presenting. So I needed some feedback, I needed some reaction. I also wanted a way of doing breakout rooms or going and sitting with people. And so we had to think about that. Normally, if I do courses where people work in teams, or sometimes I do courses where people do pair programming. If you're not familiar with pair programming, I'll talk to you offline at the end of the session. If anyone's particularly interested in pair programming, it's a code development technique. But we often have breakout rooms, little separate sections. And if I'm in the classroom, it's very easy for me to wander around between the different breakout rooms and see what people are doing and interact with them. So I had to find a way of doing that. Focus is a little bit more difficult if you're on Zoom. I don't know if you've heard the term Zoom B, but people that spend a lot of time looking at a Zoom screen are sometimes referred to as Zoom Biz. So one of the things we had to think about was ways of keeping people engaged. And if you look at a lot of really good interactive learning or e-learning sites, you'll find that the interaction is very frequent, and they generally say try and get people to interact every 3 to 5 minutes. Sometimes as a technical trainer I find that difficult, and sometimes I go a little bit over that, but you certainly want to make sure that people interact with you on a regular basis. The introduction that I'm doing now is probably going to be one of the longest bits of this course. The rest of them are tiny little chunks. The other thing is that you don't get much of a chance to interact with the other learners. And that's another tricky one. And sometimes I find that the chat rooms or the breakout rooms are helpful for that. So we'll look at that. We'll also look at doing things like polls so that we can find out little tests or quizzes, and again, ways of interacting to see if everyone's feeling the same as you or doing the same as you. We've just got someone else coming in there, so I'm just clicking on the button. And the last thing that I do in my classroom-based training is I do a lot of sidetracks. I might say to people, have you seen this sort of code before? And if they haven't, I might go off on a sidetrack to do something else. So again, I had to think of a way of dealing with that. And one of the things I do with sidetracks is I have a lot of additional things ready. I'm also going to be using a lot of the interactive capabilities of Zoom to get through some of these capabilities. So the ones that we're going to look at that I found would solve some of the problems that I had translating classroom-based to e-learning. Annotations. So getting people to write on the screen for me. Can they underline the bits that they don't understand? If I ask them a question, which part of this code does something, they can draw a circle around it, or they can put little questions on the screen. One of the interesting things I've found with Zoom is when I've had people on my training that I've taught in a classroom-based way, And I know that they're really chatty in the classroom, and yet on Zoom, I can barely get a word out of them. And a lot of that is because people don't like interacting very much with other people on Zoom. They feel that they're interrupting, or they're breaking the flow, or for a variety of reasons. They tend to be a little bit more quiet, a little more subdued. And some people are naturally not quite as outgoing in terms of chatting to other people or interacting. So annotations is a great way of getting people to do this, because people can anonymously put little notes on the screen. So that sometimes helps people to feel that no one's judging them if they're asking questions, or they're not interrupting, or anything else that holds people back. Breakout rooms, I've already said, we're going to have a look at breakout rooms. We're going to do some quizzes. So I've got some questionnaires for you. Don't worry, they're only going to take less than a minute, just so that you can see them and see how they work. The other thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to upload a copy of this presentation that you can keep. Okay, so you can use this for your own usage. You can share it with your colleagues if you want. So I'm going to give you a copy of this presentation, and I'm going to do that with file sharing in Zoom, just to show you how that works, so that you get a chance. We're also going to have a look at whiteboards, because you may or may not have used them before, but the whiteboards will give you a chance to draw diagrams, etc. Hang on a minute, I've just got a message come up. Bear with me a second. Okay, no, I haven't got a message now. That's gone. Somebody's deleted their message. Fair enough. Okay, so as I was saying, we're going to be looking at whiteboards as well. So these are all the interactive elements that I'm going to demonstrate for you on Zoom. So this is the next part, actually looking at how you set these up and how you use them. I'm going to be doing each of those different interaction types in 3 different ways. I'm going to tell you how to set it up, because you'll need to switch various settings on. I'm going to tell you whereabouts to look on the screen so that you'll be able to fetch the item that we're talking about. And then there's going to be a chance for you to interact with it. So you'll see how it works. So each different area is done in 3 stages. Set up. Where do I go on the screen to do this? How does it work? First of all, with Zoom, you may have noticed, if you've used it before, that there are 2 different ways of doing your settings. There's a little desk-based icon, which has got a separate interface, looks like an app, and that's one way of doing it. But if you want to be able to do all of these things we're going to talk about, the easiest way to do it is to use your web interface. So go to the Zoom website and log in from there. And once you've logged in from there, you can get to the settings. So when you look at the screen, over on the right-hand side here, you'll see all of the settings. And you want account management and account settings. Okay, so everything we talk about is in the Zoom web interface, account management, account settings. Okay, further to that, you'll see over here that there's a meeting link. Okay. And again, everything we need is in account settings meeting. So whenever I talk about a setting, this is where you go to get that setting. Remember, I'm going to give you a copy of this presentation, so you'll actually have this to take away with you. You don't need to write things down now. I'll give you this. A little bit of orientation. I'm on a laptop, consequently the orientation for my screen, I've got the videos, I've got the participants, I've got the chat. I always like to have my setup laid out in the same way, so that when I want to go to, for instance, a breakout room or a poll, I don't have to go around the screen like this, wondering whereabouts it is. If I've got everything laid out the same way, then it's always easy for me to go straight to it. So that's just one minor detail. At the moment, if you leave Zoom in a standard layout, then you'll find that there's a toolbar at the bottom of the video. Excuse me. There's a toolbar at the bottom of the video, and if the screen is being shared, the toolbar is at the top of the video. Okay, so just to say that again, in screen share, the tools are at the top. When you're just looking at the video, the tools are at the bottom. Okay, so you'll go to either place depending on whereabouts you are. The other thing that I'll just mention is, I think it was Fran that said she'd got everyone in little boxes in the videos. That's perfectly normal. One of the things I like to do is, when you look at a standard Zoom layout, they will put the boxes on the right-hand side. If you put the pictures of the videos underneath the camera, if you can, then when you're talking to someone, you can still talk to the camera instead of talking to someone down in the corner like this, so that it looks really odd for people that are watching you. Okay, you don't want them to get the scary close-ups. That's just awful. So I like to have the little videos at the top. So even if I think I'm talking to someone, I'm still looking at camera. Again, those are just little things for layout, but up to you, whatever you're comfortable with. So the first thing that we're going to have a little look at is annotations. On the toolbar, you'll see that there's an annotate capability. In order for this to be available, you will need to have the setting in your account settings switched on. This is one of the free ones. You don't need a paid for account to be able to do this as a host, but make sure that you have the annotations on. This will allow other people to annotate your screen. The other thing that you can switch on is the capability of saving the annotations. I find that this is great for meetings, because when people are in a meeting, I would put a theme on my slide, and then I would let everyone add in little comments, and then I can save all of those at the end. It's great for reminding people what's been said, and also for accountability, and maybe also for minutes, who knows. So annotations are very useful. So in the settings, set up your annotations, and then what we're going to do is we're going to go down to the annotate bit in a moment. Bear with me. So this is what you're going to get with annotations. First of all, I quite often find that it's much easier if you're using a pen and a tablet, if you're going to be doing a lot of annotations. If I'm using a mouse, or if I'm using a trackpad on a laptop, or even if I'm trying to do drawings or writing, I find my interaction is much better if I can use the pen. So that makes life easier for me. I use one by Intuos, but there's lots of different ones. Oh, we just got someone joining us. Bear with me. There we go. I've got a question about whether or not you can change the settings with a corporate Zoom account. That very much depends on your rights as a user. If you've got administration rights, then you absolutely can. But if you haven't got administration rights to be able to set things up for a whole group, then you might be able to change your own individually, but you might not. You might have to ask someone with administrator capabilities to do it. Marina asked about the pen and tablet. Hang on a minute. In true Blue Peter fashion, here's one I prepared earlier. That's my pen and tablet. It just plugs into a USB port. There we go. Probably heard my thing beep there. How do you get the settings on the screen? You need to go to the web interface, Marnie. So you don't get the settings on the screen in this mode. I'm sharing my screen with you at the moment. What you need to do is go into a web browser, Chrome or Firefox or whatever you use, go to the Zoom web page and log in. That's how you get your settings. Okay, I'll just get rid of the messages there. Okay, right. So as I say, I'm finding it a little bit easier with a pen and tablet, but if you want to use a mouse or just your finger, if you've got a touch screen, whatever's good. What you'll see is you'll see this little annotations bar on the screen, and this gives you a whole variety of different things that you can play for. There's text, there's freehand drawing, the stamps are things like little hearts or little boxes, they're just shapes. You can erase the things that you've been working on, you can clear all of the things, you can save the work that you've been doing. So there's lots and lots of different things. This spotlight just highlights the cursor so you can see where the cursor is. So there's lots of different things that are available here. If I'm expecting people to do some annotations, I like to leave lots of space on the screen. On this picture here, it's difficult to see where the annotations are because it's a very busy screen. When I'm doing code annotations, I like to space out the lines so that people have got enough space to draw. And when I'm getting people to use slides, then there we are. I like to do that. So what I'm going to do now is, if you now go to annotations, okay, so I'm doing screen sharing, so there should be annotations up at the top of the screen, and you should be able to draw. There you go. Hey, excellent. So I've got my pen. There I am, look, scribbling in yellow. Oh, sorry, I scribbled out somebody's hello. There you go, brilliant. I'm glad you added the O to the end of that hell. I was just thinking the presentation was going really badly there if you were in hell there. I'm so glad that you added the O at the end. Hello, Bill. Moomin. You know, I really loved that book when I was a child. Moomin Papa. Okay, so that's brilliant. So there's lots of that there. Amy has put the arrow with her name on it. So that's a great way of people being able to highlight a particular thing for them. Thank you for that, Amy. That was very good. Marina's done that as well. Brilliant. My writing is rubbish. It's not. That's perfectly readable. Okay. Right. That's brilliant. And as you can see, there's a way of saving it. If you want to save it, what it does is it puts it in a folder called Zoom, and then it will save that for you as a picture. Okay, oh, I've got a couple of messages here. Sam's just created an account. Do you have to leave and rejoin? No? As long as you've got the link, you should be okay, Sam. Someone here said they haven't got the annotation bar. What you need to do, if you can't see the annotation bar, you have to move your cursor to the top of the screen, and you should see the toolbar with annotate. Okay, so move your cursor to see the toolbar. Ah, Lance, you could be right about the iPads. Zoom doesn't necessarily have terribly good capability, but try it. Try having a look on the iPad and see if you've got more. There might be something that says more on there. Brian says, if I clear, will it clear just mine? Go on, Brian, try it. It should clear just yours. I clear the whole screen, but you can clean just your own. So here, can't get the annotation. Okay. One of the things that you might want to check. Well done, Brian. Okay. Right. One of the things that you might want to check. Oh, we've got someone else just coming in, a little bit late in, but there we are. Right. One of the things that you might want to check is if you can't see some of the things that we're talking about, it could be that the settings are off on some of your machines. So if you're using a corporate account, or perhaps you haven't had a chance to actually go in and have a look, you should be able to go into the web interface and set things on now if you haven't got them already. But what you should be able to do, if it's set on for your account, is go to the toolbar and see Annotate. And you might see More. So there might be a button that says More if you've got a small screen. Oh, here you go. Lisa's come up with a little message for us. Lisa says on the iPad, she's using an iPad pencil and it's fine. Apparently there's a little pencil icon in the bottom left on an iPad. Thank you, Lisa. That's great. Thank you. Ah, the people who don't have an account, yes. You will need to, you can get a free account. Okay, you don't need to actually, pay for an account, but you do need an account of some kind. Okay, I'm going to close the chat now. I want to move us along. Wow, look at that screen. That's brilliant. You've all done a great job there. Okay. Right, I'm going to clear it now to show you what happens when I clear it. There you go. Okay, and I'm also going to close the annotation thing there. Oh, we've got another chat message. Okay, Gofi said that they've just checked their account and it looks like Annotations is the default. Thank you, Gofi, that's very helpful. Thank you. Okay, moving along now. So that was Annotations. Let's have a look at the next one. So the next one now is breakout rooms. I'm sure that you've all used breakout rooms in real life. What we're looking at here are virtual breakout rooms that are available for Zoom. In order to have these, there are two things that you need. First of all, you need to have a paid account. So the host must have a paid account. Doesn't matter about the participants, but the host must have a paid account. As I said earlier, the cheapest of the paid accounts is about £130 a year. Okay. The other thing is that in order to see breakout rooms and indeed polls, you usually use a scheduled meeting. Okay, so we usually set these up for scheduled meetings. You don't have to, but we usually do. So again, as usual, the first thing you need to do is make sure that breakout rooms are enabled in the settings. This is for the host. Okay, so the host makes sure that breakout rooms are enabled in the settings. On the toolbar, you'll see breakout rooms. There's a little bit of setting up to do, not an awful lot, just a little bit. So first of all, when you create a breakout room, it's going to ask you how many rooms do you want. It's also going to give you the choice of, will you allow Zoom to automatically allocate people into the rooms? And all it does is it looks at the number of people, divides them up, and just puts them in the room for you. That's the easiest way, avoids any arguments. However, it could be that you want people in particular rooms with other people, in which case you can set up manually who goes into each room. If you select that someone's going to be setting it up manually, oh, I've got a little message there. Okay. I don't know what. Okay. I'm trying not to read what that actually said on the screen. I hope it didn't read what I think it read. Never mind, moving along. Okay, so if you'll set it up to automatically or manually and click on create rooms. If you want to assign the rooms manually, then for each room, there's a little assign button and it will list all the people that are available to assign. You just click on the people you want to assign to each room. Just for the record, you can do some settings. The settings for the breakout rooms allow you to set up your default breakout room. You can say how long you want the breakout rooms to last for. Oh, we've got people in the waiting room. You just let people in the waiting room. So you can set how long you want the breakout rooms to last for. You can also optionally set up a countdown so that when the room is about to close, it gives people a warning. I'm going to set the breakout rooms for slightly shorter. However, you can manually close the breakout rooms anyway. It's worth noting you can have a maximum of 50 breakout rooms per meeting. Once you've got your breakout rooms set up, as the host, you'll see a little message that allows you to open the rooms up. Once the rooms are open, you then get the option to close the rooms. This is just for the host. From an attendee's point of view, you're going to get a message saying that you've been invited to join a breakout room. So you can join the breakout room. And what happens with the breakout rooms is it's just as if it was a separate Zoom session for you and the other people in the breakout room. So it's just as if you've got a little separate sub-meeting just for you. The difference between doing a breakout room and actually having a completely separate Zoom meeting is if you have a completely separate Zoom meeting, you have to close the one that you're in and go and open another meeting. And then when you've closed that, you have to reopen the original. If you use breakout rooms, you have the capability of splitting people off into separate Zoom sessions, but they still have a connection to the original meeting. So they can still join it very easily without having to keep opening and closing Zoom meetings. So breakout rooms are much more helpful. I find them useful for focus sessions or separate chats, or when we're doing coding for pair programming. I'm getting lots of little heart annotations on my slide. Thank you very much. One of the things you'll notice from the attendees' point of view is you'll notice that there's a little ask for help button. If you click on the ask for help button, what will happen is it will ask the host to join your individual breakout room. The host can accept or decline. And what will then happen is that the host will come and join you if they accept, and it will be as if they're in your Zoom session. They can then leave and go and help someone else out. So how that looks is like this. As if an attendee asks for help, they give you the option to invite the host to your breakout room. The host will get a message. Do you want to join the breakout room?
Done that. I've done breakout room.
Okay.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. And if the host says join breakout room, then they're in your breakout room. If they say later, then you actually get a little message saying the host is helping others and try again later. So it doesn't automatically retry. You have to keep retrying if the host isn't available. With the breakout rooms, they can end automatically after the time that you've set, or alternatively, you can click on the button that closes all rooms, and that will then tell people that the rooms are closed. If you want to leave the room before it closes, there is a leave breakout room button on the screen. Okay, for everyone, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to stop sharing my screen and I'm going to set up a breakout room. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing the screen and I'm going to set up some breakout rooms for everyone. Oh, I've got a chat message here. Okay, right. Okay. Right, thank you, Lance. Right. It's all right. Lance has cleared up what the writing was that I couldn't read on the screen for me. Okay, so here we go. I'm setting up breakout rooms. I'm going to set up 7 breakout rooms, and I'm going to allow Zoom to automatically allocate people to a breakout room. So I'm going to create the room now. It's automatically allocated all of you into a breakout room. There's about 8 people per breakout room. I'm going to open the rooms now. And then you will be in separate breakout rooms with each other. One of the things I'd just like to say is please make sure that if you're going to put people in breakout rooms, that you give them a clear idea of what it is they're supposed to be doing in the breakout room. Otherwise, people are going to be at a loss. So make sure you give people a clear objective if you're going to put them in a breakout room. All I want you to do when you go in your breakout room is to say hello to your other breakout participants. I'm then going to close the rooms fairly quickly in order to keep us on track, because we're getting lots and lots of questions. We're a little bit behind on timing. That's my problem, not yours, by the way. So I'm opening the rooms now. You should all get little messages to say that you've been invited to your breakout rooms. Interestingly enough, I can see which of you have joined and which of you haven't. It gives me a message to say who's joined and who hasn't joined. Breakout room 1 is full. Okay, most people have joined. I think there's 2, 3, 4 people who haven't joined. Two people who haven't joined. Cole61 and Rob. Rob, you're on a laptop, I'm guessing from your name. Okay, so you should all be coming back to me now.
Hello.
Hello.
I'll turn my mic off. There we go.
You're all right there, Lance. Okay, I see some people are not quite back yet.
We've come back from the breakout room.
Yeah, they're staying in the breakout rooms. Obviously, their fellow participants in the breakout rooms are more interesting. I've got a countdown going, so they'll be thrown out in 10 seconds anyway. There are some lovely backgrounds I can see. Mine's just a boring old whiteboard. You've all got very good backgrounds.
How do we do backgrounds?
Again, you need to go into account settings So if you go to the web site and go into log in, and in your account settings, there's a backgrounds, and that allows you to set backgrounds on and choose a background of your choice.
Thank you.
No problem.
Keep
Right, I'm
losing
just
it.
going to share the screen again.
I've lost my messages again.
Somebody's lost something, I can hear.
Oh, sorry, it's me. Every time something changes, I lose things. I've lost the chat room again, and you've just changed everything back, and it's gone back to full screen again. So
It
I've
has.
lost my toolbars and everything.
Ah, sorry, Fran. Yes, I'm sharing my screen. We're a little bit behind, so I'm moving us along.
Okay.
You'll get your toolbar back in a moment. Don't worry.
Okay.
Okay, the next thing is polls, chat or feedback and questions. So first of all, this chat settings, you can set up whether people can chat to you. You can also set up whether or not people can chat to other people. And you can also say whether you want to save chats. Again, if you go to your toolbar, which will be at the bottom, if you're looking at the Zoom video, or at the top, if you've got the screen share visible. If you can't see it, on the screen share at the top, there's a button at the right with more, and it'll be in the drop down on more. Okay, everyone got that? Now I like to put my chat down in the bottom right hand corner, but you can of course put yours wherever is comfortable for your eye. One of the other things that you can do is when you've got your chat box open, as well as typing in a message, you can set who the message is sent to, and you can also, if you're the host, set up who's allowed to chat to who. So that can sometimes limit the amount of chat that other people can do amongst themselves. So you can set it up so that they can chat to you, but not to other participants. Seems a little antisocial, but I guess if you've got a very chatty group. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop sharing my screen. We're going to open up the chat, and I want everyone to tell me what's their favorite food. I'm going with chocolate. Yeah, lots of people agree with me. Fish and chips. Oh, good choice. Fish and chips. Indian curries. Salad. Melissa? Cheese. Oh, cheese is good. Yeah. Actually, if I had to give up cheese or chocolate, Wiener Schnitzel, steak tartare. Ice cream. Yeah. Broccoli. Greek. Greek what? Greek cheese. I like feta cheese. Crisps, pizza. This sounds like a good night in for me. I'm going to invite you lot so that we can all have a good dinner party at some point. Obviously remotely via Zoom, that would be great. Tzatziki, oh, that's lovely. Sprouting broccoli, all cheese. Excellent. Right, I think everybody's got the hang of the chat. Okay. Excellent. So I'm going to go back to screen share now that everybody's all food. Ian, come on, narrow it down, Ian. I'm going to go back to screen share. Okay, well done. Everybody's had a go at chat. That's brilliant. The next thing that I wanted to just talk about is uploading files. I have to be brutally honest here and say I've had some trouble with Zoom and file uploading. If you've got very large files, or if you've got a mixed group of people and you don't control their Zoom accounts, you might find that some people can't actually receive files. That's because people that are using corporate accounts or some other accounts may well find that someone with administrator rights has switched off their ability to get files. What they might well have done is they might have specified only types of files, and perhaps it doesn't meet with what you want to upload. So I have had trouble with file uploads before. So you might want to have as a backup a Dropbox or something else set up just in case people can't get a file transfer via Zoom. However, I will try and show you now just so that you can see it. There's a chat message coming in, which I'll deal with in just a second if you bear with me. So this is in the chat area, and there's going to be a file option. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing. Right, so first of all, in your chat, you need to have it sent to everyone. So I just had to have that set it to everyone so that I can click on the file button. You won't be able to see this, but it is in the slides. What I'm doing now is I'm going, when I've clicked on file, I'm clicking on your computer, and then I'm going to upload a copy of this presentation. I'm doing it as a PDF. It's quite big, 10 megabytes. One of the catch-22s that I found with this is that you have to have the chat room open in order to be able to see it. You can't open the chat room at a later stage and then find that you expect it to be there, because quite often it isn't. So I always try and make sure that everybody's got the chat room open first in order that they can get the file. So what you should see now is a PDF of this presentation. Just in case any of you haven't been able to get the PDF of the presentation, I do give you my email address at the end of the session. You can email it me, and you can email me your address and I will send you the PDF individually. So if you can't get that now, Marina, you should find it's either in your Zoom folder or it will give you the option of saving it separately. Very much depends on what system you're using, what operating system and what platform. Yeah. Yes, go for it. It should give you the option. Yeah. Now, you're quite welcome to share this with your friends and colleagues. I'd be grateful if you'd leave the copyright on it. Give a little credit where credit's due, but you're quite free to share this. Okay, right, we're getting lots of thank yous and got it. So everyone's got that. Brilliant. We're moving straight along. I'm going to go back to screen sharing now. So we've seen that if I do file sharing on my computer, then I just get a standard dialog box to select a file and it uploads it to the chat. So everyone got that. So you all had that. Hopefully, as I said, if anyone had any issues, you can email me at the end of the session and I will email you back the PDF. So the next thing is quizzes and polls. Again, these are quite easy to set up, but they are quite simplistic. You do need to do a little bit of preparation if you're doing polls. Whilst you can do them on the fly, it's, oh, I've got a message coming through on chat. Bear with. No, messages have gone away. Okay, fair dues. Okay, so you need to do a little bit of preparation if you're going to be doing polls, because these need to be set up before the meeting, Although you can do them during the meeting, it gives a bit of a break. So it's much better if you set them up before. The other good thing about setting the polls up before the meeting is that you can save that meeting as a template, and then you can use that poll again with another meeting. So it gives you some reusability. So I'm going to show you how to do this. Again, you need a paid for subscription in order to do this. So in the setup, make sure that polls is switched on. You'll see it in the toolbar. You're allowed a maximum of 25 polls per meeting, and each poll can have 10 questions. So that's 250 questions. Should be enough. So what you do is you log in on the web interface and go to the account settings. You schedule a meeting, okay? You schedule a meeting. When you've scheduled the meeting, scroll down to the bottom of the meeting information and you'll get a little option to add a poll to the meeting. Okay, once you've added the poll to the meeting, I'll come back to that in a moment, I then save the meeting as a template so I can reuse this poll with another meeting later. Okay, so let's have a look at setting up those polls. So you click on poll and it says, okay, let's create a poll. So add in your first question. You give it a title, you have a question, and then you have 10 possible answers. You can have single choice or multiple choice. It isn't anything clever. It's just a simple poll, okay? Radio button choices, single ones or multiple ones. They can't type in anything free format. If you click on delete, it deletes the question, by the way. So don't do what I did once and click on delete instead of save by mistake and then delete the whole question after I've just typed it in. So here we go. So there's my question. These are my possible answers, and I've said it's going to be multiple choice. So 10 questions per poll. This is what it looks like when it runs. So this is one that I use. I do a lot of training courses on something called React. And this is one of my questions for the React course to find out what experience people have got. This is what it's going to look like when it's running. And it will show me how many people have filled it in, and it will show me what the results are. So as it's being filled in, I can see it as we go. So the attendee will see the questions, I will see the results. At the end, I get a chance to share the results, but I don't have to. So these can be anonymous. Okay, I've already got one set up. You can see I can share the results or I can relaunch. So if you've run the poll once, this is a great way of testing people's learning. Give them the questionnaire at the beginning, teach them something, give them the questionnaire again at the end. So relaunch the same questionnaire at the end. And that way you'll be able to tell the difference between the two lots of results. So here we are. I'm going to set up a poll for you to try now. Hopefully you should all see the poll. There are 3 questions. I'm going to close the polling in about 10 seconds time. So quick answers if you haven't already had a chance.
Jill, it's not letting many people submit.
You have to scroll down to fill in the rest of the questionnaire and then you can submit it.
Yes.
I've tried.
Yep. Thank you.
And can you see how many people have submitted their poll?
Oh, I will show you in a moment. Dangerous outbreak of enthusiasm, Natalia.
Okay.
I'll show you in a minute. It's going quite
Okay.
well, actually. It's going quite well. Right, I'm going to end polling now. So if you haven't submitted, submit now. I'm going to end polling. Right, so I can see, and what I'm going to do is share the results now. We actually had more than 80% of people respond, so that's pretty good. We've got 55 people in the room at the moment, so that's a pretty good response. And you can see, or you should be able to see, that it's highlighting the most popular in each group. Okay. So hopefully everyone can have a little look down that list. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing and close polls so that we can carry on. Oh, bye, Sarah. I've just had a message from Sarah saying she's having to go. I'm clashing with another meeting now. I'm sorry we're overrunning. I'm terribly sorry because we've been enjoying ourselves interacting. We've run a little bit over time, so please bear with me. Not much more to go. The last few things that you might want to consider are some of the small interactions. Now, these are tiny, and I'm fairly sure that you'll have used them before. So this next one is just the icons. You don't need any settings for this. They're just there. When you have a look at the participants panel, at the bottom of the participants panel, there are options for yes, no, go faster, go slower. And then you've got thumbs up, thumbs down, round of applause, tea break, and time out. The one thing about this is that, of course, all of the other participants can see what you've said. Okay, so these are just icons. You just click on them. You'll notice that they can also be cleared. So as the host, I can clear the interactions. I can ask you another question, and then you can interact as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop sharing. We're going to open up the participants area, and then you can have a little go at clicking on those buttons. So if you look in the toolbar for participants, right. Okay, I'm a little bit over time. Are you all okay to stay with me for another 5 minutes? Is that okay for you? Give me a yes or a no in the participants area.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so far most people are yes. In fact, so far everyone that's applied is yes. Okay, right, I'm going to be 5 more minutes. Right, brilliant, thank you very much. I'm going to clear all now so that you can see what it looks like when it gets cleared. There you go, back to normal. Okay, down to screen share again. Also on the toolbar are these little reactions. So you get a little hand wave and a little thumbs up. and they will come up on the picture. There we go, Fran's done one. Thank you, Fran. So if you go to your toolbar, yep, Juliet raised a hand, and as the host, I get a little message telling me who's interacted. So I can see if someone's raised a hand or if they've done a thumbs up. So it comes up on the little picture window, but I also, as a host, get a message on the screen. So if you want people to ask questions as you go along, you could ask them to raise their hand, and then that way you could see that someone wanted to ask a question. So those are called reactions. And again, you don't have to set anything up. They come as standard. So some of you have already had a go at using reactions. If you haven't had a go at using reactions, try one now. Fran and Natalia, you've done yours already. Good job.
Yes. And the reaction disappear, no, in a few seconds.
Yes, they do. Absolutely. Yes, you're quite right. I should have said that. Yes.
Okay. Nice.
Okay. Marnie raised a hand. All right. I'm getting a few people reacting, but I think we're going to move on for the sake of brevity there. Last thing is whiteboards. I'm in two minds about whiteboards. You can use the whiteboard that's built into Zoom, which allows people to annotate and allows you to draw. The only problem is that if you use the whiteboard, then you're not sharing the rest of the screen. So what I prefer to do is use a different drawing tool, because when I share the screen, I tend to share the whole screen. Okay, instead of just sharing one application, I share the whole screen. And the reason that I do that is because I swap from one thing to another, from a code window to a test window to a presentation window to a drawing. I swap a lot. And if I'm doing a share of the whole screen, I can do that fairly quickly. Whereas if I'm using separate applications, I have to stop, I have to go in, I have to share a different bit, we have to come back and do the next bit, then we have to stop, and then we have to go and get the next bit. And it breaks the dialogue, which I don't like so much. So let's just have a look at the whiteboard that you get with Zoom. So set it up in the settings as usual. The interaction screen looks exactly the same as the annotations. And what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to stop the share here. So I'm going to go to new share at the top of the screen, and I'm going to share whiteboard. So at the top of the screen as the host, I can do a new share of the whiteboard. And there you are. You can see that I can, there we are, I can interact with it. Here we are, self-portrait of the artist. There you go. As you can see, you can draw too. Okay. All right. Well done, everybody. I like that little picture down at the bottom there. The little green ones. Okay. Brilliant. Okay, so exactly the same capabilities as we saw with the annotations. And again, this is useful for meetings because it gives you the option to save. So that's helpful. Okay, I'm going to stop that one happening now, and I'm going to go back to the presentation. Thank you for your interactions there. Oh, we've got hearts and stars now. This is good. Now, the good thing about that is that if I go back to it, it's still there. Okay, so unless you actually clear it, it will stay there until you get rid of it or save it or clear it. Like being a graffiti artist, isn't it? Right, so that's whiteboards. So we've used the whiteboard. So now, as I said, this is the last bit. I promised you 5 more minutes, and this is the last 2 of them. So you've been asking questions as we go along, which is brilliant. I hope that you've enjoyed having a chance to do some interactions. I'm going to do the closing couple of slides now, and those people that have got to get off and go to other meetings or go and have your dinner, what have you, you can carry on. But I will be here for a little while afterwards for questions and answers if anyone's interested. So we'll close the last couple of slides and then we'll do questions and answers. So these are my recommendations for future reading. I would certainly suggest the Future Learn site. If you haven't had a look at Future Learn before, it's absolutely brilliant. They're free courses. If you want a certificate, you have to pay, but the courses themselves are free. Okay, they're by all the big universities, not only UK ones, but some of them from abroad. They've got some brilliant stuff on e-learning, but they've also got things on communication skills and so, excuse me. We've also got an education site from an Australian university, which is absolutely brilliant. There's a lot of good stuff on there about virtual classrooms. They also give you some hints and tips as to what makes a good interaction. So well worth a look there. And if that's still not enough for you, there's lots of free tutorials on Tech Republic. So these are my recommendations for future reading. Margaret has requested, if you get a chance, can you help out someone doing some research? There's a SurveyMonkey link there to find out how people are learning skills during lockdown. As I say, you've got this presentation, so the link is in there. And finally, that's my email. I would be more than happy to answer your questions, chat with you. I'd like to thank you all very much for being here. It's an awfully good turnout for a webinar this late on in the day. So thank you for your time and for the interactions that you've done. I hope you found something useful. Please let me know if there's anything else that you need from me, or if you'd like me to send you the PDF if you didn't get that. Once again, thank you very much.
Thanks, Jill.
Thank you, Jill. That was
Thank you
great.
very much.
Really good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can everybody unmute and clap hands?
Thank you, Jill.
Hands.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Fabulous.
Thank you very much. I've got lots of things on
Thanks,
chat now,
Jill.
so I'm just looking at chats. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jill.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Right,
I'm
bear with
afraid
me
I've got to
because
slip away to another meeting, but Jill, thank you very, very much. It was brilliant.
thank you
Absolutely
very
brilliant.
much, Margaret. Thank you. You take care. I'll catch up with you during the week sometime.
Okay, do that then. Take care. All the best.
Bye.
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 Bye. Thank you. Jill, just one last question about the
Yeah,
polls.
sure. Yeah,
My
sure.
question before is that before closing the polls, can you see how many people have already submitted them?
Yes. What it does, let me go back to the slide for you. I'm just going to go back into share and go back into the slides and show you the one in question. Bear with me, Natalia.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, here we go. Right, can you see over on the right hand side here, the little green box? Can you see that? Yeah?
Yeah.
And here, where it's got 00, that will be like 20 of 27. So you'll see how many people have filled in these particular parts of the question.
Okay, okay, perfect.
Yeah?
Okay, yeah. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much for the course, very useful.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Jill.
Bye.
Thanks, bye.
Hi, Jill.
Hi. Hello, Simon.
Just an observation. I find it much easier, particularly if I'm leading something on Zoom, to be using two screens.
Yes.
And if you use the two screen option, you either get the slideshow or the speaker. I've got you up here complete on the screen. And then you get all the other stuff, the controls, the chats, the small versions on your second screen. And it's just that much easier, a better user experience if you can actually plug a second screen into your PC. There's just one box to tick that says use second screen or something like that, and it converts to that mode. I find it much better.
Yeah, that's a really good observation, Simon. I find that when I'm attending meetings, I tend to have two, and when I'm presenting, I have one as the presenter and one as a participant as well. I didn't for this webinar, but when I'm doing full-time training, I do. But it's an excellent observation, Simon. Thank you.
I have a lot of children, which I will be using Zoom for. So not all of them will be technically competent.